Good morning, Plumb here, playing World of Tanks, and this is not a normal video, normal by my standards. This is a informational video. Is that a word? Whatever it is. Anyway, it's a not a usual kind of video. I'm going to be talking to you today, mostly sitting in the garage here, but I've got a proposal for everyone that watches my videos. Don't get nervous. It's going to be fun, hopefully. I'd like to start doing a regular, maybe once a week, maybe more if it takes off, slot where I'm probably going to call the video 10 questions, so you can get an idea of what it's going to be about. I've shortlisted 10 questions that I'd like to ask subscribers when they platoon with me. So the idea would be we'd arrange a time and meet up, probably using Skype. I think everyone's got Skype, I think, and we can platoon, play a couple of matches, and during the matches and in the garage, I won't obviously ask the questions when we're right in the middle of playing, unless you're dead, I'm alive, I think I'll ask you a question, and we can have a conversation over a couple of matches. So rather than just platoon and just play matches, we're going to have these regular, same 10 questions. So it'll be appear once on this particular video show. We can still platoon again another time, but it won't be with the 10 questions. This is specifically the video with the 10 questions. It's like a TV show. It's very dramatic. Anyway, I've had Mrs. Plumb do the questions for me. So I'm going to do them now. I'm going to run through all 10 questions. I'm going to put them in the description below. So I think you've got the gist of it. You email me, we arrange a time, we meet up, we talk. We start recording, and during the session, maybe half an hour gameplay, we get through these questions and you provide the answers, and then that provides conversation and people listen and they find it interesting. Hopefully we can bring up some points which some people haven't considered before. Now most of the questions are to do with World of Tanks, and then at the end there's a few more just ordinary questions that enlighten us about who you are, and they're questions about your favourite movies, TV shows, things like that. There's only 10 questions. I think the last 3 are like that. Anyway, I've got Mrs. Plumb on standby. Hopefully this button's going to work. I'm not a DJ, but my little keyboard's going to have to do all the work here. So I'm going to have the first question and see what it is. Obviously you can read them below in the description, but if you haven't looked at the description below, here comes the first one.
How long have you played World of Tanks, and how many matches have you played?
Good question. I think I asked that on the outset just to establish what kind of player you are. Do you play a lot? Do you play a little? How long have you been playing? So for mine, bring up my service record for you. Oh, that was my 10,000th battle. I've just had my 10,000th battle and I completely forgot it was 10,000. Oh, I was doing that platoon this morning, and I did play 4 matches. I was going to make that a special game. Damn it. It's going to be 10,001 is going to be my special video. Anyway, that's sidetracking. I registered my account on 20th of June 2011. I started playing. So over 3 years ago, so I'd consider myself an experienced player. And played exactly 10,000 matches. Wow. Victories 5,300, defeats 4,400, and draws 148. That many draws, blimey. But that just gives everyone a rough idea of, the kind of input you put into the game. I'm sure that'll bring up some other conversations, but let's move straight on to the second question.
What is your favourite class of tank? Light, medium, heavy, tank destroyer, or SPG? Obviously just trying to establish what kind of tank driver you are. Myself, I am a medium tank driver. I find the class perfect. I'm not so much inclined towards heavy tanks. I've got a few of them. How many heavy tanks have I got? Heavy tanks, all nations. How do I deselect this so it's showing me everything? Just click it? Yeah. There we go. Those are all my heavy tanks there. Not many really in my garage when you compare it to my medium tanks.
Mediums. Lots of mediums. And yeah, I'm a medium tank driver. That's what I like to drive. It's the happy high ground. It's I mean the happy middle ground. It's between, you know, light and heavy. I like light tanks more probably than I like heavy tanks. But medium tanks give me the flexibility to do what I choose. Push, scout, flank. It's all there in a medium tank. So yep, definitely a medium tank driver. Next question.
Which is your favourite tank in your garage at the moment?
Ooh, my favourite tank. This often has nothing to do with your best tank. I mean, my best tank, I've mentioned this a few times before, you go to service record, vehicles, and sort by your XP, which will show you the tank that you do best in numerically, and it's still at the top. It's still my Pershing, my tier 8 medium. Where is my favourite tank on this list? Surely it's up here somewhere, but this is what I mean. It may not be my most productive machine. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Looks like it's way down here somewhere. There it is. Way, way down. But it is only tier 3. It's the PZ1C. Let's bring it up in the garage. It's my favourite tank in the game. I absolutely adore this little machine. There it is. The funnest tank in the game in my opinion. Great to drive, great to shoot the gun, even when it's not penetrating. It's just a great gun to shoot because it makes such a racket, fires out so many bullets. It's just fun, 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 fun. There are better tanks in my garage, no doubt, but this is the one that makes me smile the most. So that's the simple answer to that question. That is my favourite tank at the moment, and it has been since I got it.
Which is your favourite map?
Ooh, controversial stuff. Favourite maps. I think my favourite map is going to have to be Himmelsdorf. Been playing it such a long time. I'm glad they've never tweaked it or changed it. There really is no need. It's fantastic. It's got high ground, low ground. Doesn't have wide open spaces, but that's its only compromise really. If it had a wider open space maybe somewhere to one side, a bit like sort of X has, then maybe it'd be utterly perfect. But it's a pretty decent map right now. I believe it's just, it shows up on the rotation and I think, alright, I've got choices, I can take different tanks elsewhere. It's not that great for artillery. I have had one or two good games in RT on that map where I've managed to score a few kills. Excuse me while I just slept tea. And it's just reliably a good game provider. Himmelsdorf pops up. I never think, oh, it's always great, Himmelsdorf. Something could happen here. It's always got potential.
Which is your least favourite map?
Oh, my least favourite map is going to have to be El Halouf. Even with all the recent changes to it, it's a divisive map, El Halouf. I think it's the bitterness of how bad it used to be, which has just hung over to the new changes. It's better now than it was with the new changes, but they're quite subtle changes really, it seems. I still don't like it as a map. It's not bad, I play it and sometimes I get a good game, but more often than not it pops up and it's a little, yeah, I sit on the fence about that map. I think Kamaran's now a lot better than it ever was. The changes have been really, really good. It doesn't give me the same reaction when it pops up, Kamaran, to El Halouf. It's El Halouf. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
What do you dislike about World of Tanks?
It's probably going to have to be the probably very little to do with the game itself. You just take the game as it is. Can't really change anything about it. So it's going to be the chat window down when you're playing a game. Some of the utter rubbish that gets typed in there. Sometimes it's really hateful and spiteful and it's just so unnecessary. But it's people that have just got so little to do aside from get killed and then start trolling in chat. It's just, it's a squalid pit of despair most of the time. It's great when it works and it's useful, but it's those knee-jerk reactions that people get at the start of games in particular. Oh, it just makes me despair. That's the only thing in the game that I'm sitting here thinking. There's other niggles about the game which obviously annoy sometimes, the spotting mechanics, and sometimes, what else? Premium rounds, but I use them, so I can't complain about that really. They're in the game. No, it's the chat window.
What do you love about World of Tanks?
What do I love about World of Tanks? Oh, it's chasing that dream game. Having that game where it all just clicks and goes together, and it happens, what, once every 2 weeks? For me, I don't know how often it happens for you, but every now and then. We're chasing it all year long. Having that game where everything just goes utterly butterly, it's fantastic. And also the chat window, again, it's a divisive little subject, that chat window for me. When someone notices you do something and you help them, and then they actually take the time to say thank you, or they just congratulate you on a good performance, you know, that chat window, it's like a rotating door. Sometimes you just think, just turn it off and not even use it, and other times, very rarely, it comes up with a little bit of gold in it, and it sticks a smile on your face, and you think, yep, all is not lost. The world is not such a bad place.
What is your favourite video game of all time?
Obviously that's got to exclude World of Tanks. This is right up there as my favourite game of all time, but we're playing it, so there's not much point talking about it. My favourite video game of all time, and you can include console games, I don't care, but I've never had a console. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to 2007, and this game was released by, developed by GSC Game World and published by THQ. I don't think we have around any longer. First person shooter survival horror game. Do you know what it is yet? It's Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. That game was utterly breathtaking when I first played it. You really do live in the character of the Stalker. And I'd play that for an hour or so every evening before going to bed, and you like reading a damn good book. It's just a fantastic story. The world, the environment was, for its time, absolutely fantastic, dripping with detail. The monsters, that just kind of unscripted events that would occur, the wear and tear to your weapons, scrounging ammo, scrounging food, some of the scary moments when you're in some of the underground areas, and the lighting effects and the atmosphere. God, the atmosphere. Play that one in the dark. It's it can be mighty creepy indeed, but at the heart of it, it was a first person survival game, kind of a precursor to DayZ almost, the way it's played out in a single player game, and it's stuck in my mind ever since. Absolutely breathtaking game. The open world, it was vast, it was huge, it was detailed. All kinds of craziness in that game, and some of the firefights you would get into with some of the AI were absolutely tremendous. If you got stuck, you could just withdraw, peg it, go around a hill, and drag out your sniper rifle and pick them off from distance. Just things like that. Absolutely amazing game. There's been plenty of sequels to that game, but that's the original, and I believe I've got it on Steam, and I haven't dipped into it for a long time, but the day will come when I'll probably don the hood and get the backpack and go back into that world, because it was utterly fantastic. Next question. We're getting to the end now, so...
What is your favourite TV series of all time?
Ooh, there's a hot potato, if ever there was one. Favourite TV series? I'm going to give a couple of almosts, and that's probably the revised Battlestar Galactica. That show was fantastic. I was waiting each week for the new episode to be released. And Firefly, Josh Whedon's amazing TV show. Mythological status now, that show. If you've never seen Firefly, it's like a western in space. You haven't really guessed, I'm a bit of a sci-fi nerd. That show was awesome. It got cancelled after only 14 episodes, and an absolute travesty when you see the quality of the writing and the acting and the design and everything about that show. Just absolutely nailed entertainment perfectly. Watch it if you haven't seen it. You will not regret it if you've got the slightest interest in science fiction. Number one has to go to my all-time favourite show, Star Trek. The Next Generation, with Jean-Luc Picard and his crew running around space, getting into all kinds of scrapes. Some fantastic story writing in that series. There's a lot of dud episodes, but there's more better episodes than bad ones, and some of them are just class acts. I'm a bit gutted now in retrospect looking at the movies they made. They just seem to jump on the action bandwagon, and there are so many episodes that are so much better than the movies. I think the highlights are probably Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, the middle of their work when they were just absolutely running with it. A few episodes for the nerds out there, because I know a lot of you will like Star Trek. Season 3, Booby Trap. Love that episode. Great music in that one. That's when they get stuck in space by this antiquated sort of post-war system that's left hanging in meteorites, and it drains the Enterprise's power and they can't move. Really good music in that episode. The most toys, when Data's death is faked by this collector of rare items and puts him in his collection. The Enemy in Season 3, when Worf won't give his blood to a Romulan. The conversation in Picard's ready room in that one is utterly fantastic. It would have been so easy to make him buckle and comply, but he doesn't. It's absolutely brilliant scene. Season 4, The Wounded, with Captain Maxwell, the renegade captain, going after Cardassians. That was brilliant. Some really good captain on captain dialogue in that episode. And the courtroom one, The Drumhead, again lots more terrific dialogue in that episode. Great scenes between characters. Season 5, I'll do one more, Darmok, the one where the captain's on the surface with the captain of the is it Torellian ship, and he speaks in little short stories. It's such an unusual, weird episode, but the conversations they have and the whole episode story arc is just really lovely. And yeah, that's all I'll say about Star Trek The Next Generation. Won't go off onto a complete geek fest on that one. Last question.
What is your favourite movie of all time?
Favourite movie of all time?
How long have you...
Sorry about that. Favourite movie of all time? It's not going to be a Star Trek film, even though there are some good ones. Particularly The Wrath of Khan. That's a terrific one. No, it's certainly going to be science fiction. Actually, earlier I mentioned Stalker as being my favourite PC game. Some of you might, and this is the whole point of these videos, is to sort of put stuff out there that you may not know. So if you can come up with answers that aren't atypical, i.e. your favourite movie, Star Wars, unless you've got some trivial tidbits that people may not know. But yeah, earlier I mentioned Stalker. There's actually a movie called Stalker, and it is the game. You may not be aware of this, but it was made a long time ago. 1979 it was made by a Russian filmmaker called Andrei Tarkovsky, and it is set in the zone, and there's stalkers and there's artifacts, and tourists get taken in to see the place because it's so weird and freaky. And it's a very slow, atypical Russian sci-fi film, but dripping with atmosphere, just like the game. And you can see the influence it had on the game throughout. And it's worth going through the whole film. It's quite long and it's quite slow, but if you enjoyed the game, I think you'll enjoy the film, with a very good ending. So hang around for the ending. Gattaca. I really enjoyed that movie. That's 1997. That's about a near future world where everyone's tested by their blood, and if you're not genetically of the right sort, you're discriminated against. And it's about a guy who wants to be an astronaut and go up into space, and so he takes the genetic fingerprint, you might say, of Jude Law's character to get into the space program. And there's a murder mystery tacked on, and it's just dripping with cool design, and there's hardly any science fiction design or anything in it. It's just characters in rooms talking and chatting with little hints of the near future sprinkled in, and it's got amazing music, that film. Hopefully some of you might chase down these films if you've not seen them, and they're really, really, really good.
But my number one, my best, my favourite film of all time is going to have to go to, you might be surprised, it's going to go to 2010, the sequel to 2001 A Space Odyssey. Really love that movie. It's got to be a film that you can watch over and over and over again. I do like my science fiction to be not highbrow, not like 2001 where it's really deep and open-ended and heavy, which I think that film does lean towards. It's very ambiguous, which it had to be with the what it was trying to get across. And probably the die-hard fans of 2001 don't appreciate 2010 because it wraps it up, it ties it all off in a nice box and puts a bow on it, gives you lots of answers to all the questions. But as a sequel to that film, as a standalone film, I guess I mean, it's fantastic. Roy Schneider's in it, directed by Peter Hyams. 1984 it came out, quite a long time after 2001. But the 80s, they knew how to make films in the 80s. Don't get me started on the quality of filmmaking in the 80s. That's when things were done the right way. We still got lots of terrific films that come out these days, of course we have, but there's a lot of lazy filmmaking comes out these days, I think, whereas back in the 80s you had to do it by hand, and I really appreciate the work that went into some of those movies. So 2010, my favourite movie of all time, has a certain quality to it. Lovely sound design, great cast, lovely story. I love the ending. I won't spoil it if you've not seen it. So those are my 10 questions. So that's the kind of gist of it. I've been a bit long-winded in going through those, but obviously I knew the questions and what they were going to be, and I had a bit of time to think about them. But I think that could be quite a nice little idea for a weekly video. So if you're interested, my email address is in the description below. It's xxplumbxx@gmail.com. Just let me know you're interested so I can gauge the response, or just click the thumbs up if you're interested, or subscribe. That's obviously a criteria for doing this with me. You'll have to be a subscriber, so hit the subscribe button if you are not and you'd like to take part, and we can arrange a time to meet up and have a couple of games and sprinkle these questions in, and you'll be asked by the lovely Mrs. Plumb, and hopefully we can share what we know and come up with some information that people don't know, and it might make people think. I don't know. At the end of the day, it'll just be a lot of fun. I'm a very easygoing guy, pretty easy to talk to, not scary at all. I'll probably be more nervous than you, to be honest. I'm the one that's setting it up and hosting it, so do not be afraid. I'll put this video up today and gauge the response, see what you think. I'll try and do it with a couple of friends first who'll be on board to give it a go and see how it pans out. And well, if we don't try, we won't know. Maybe it'll sink, maybe it'll swim, who knows. Anyway, hope you enjoyed listening to my answers. A little bit more information on me is always not a bad thing. Makes us feel connected, like we're all part of the family. Anyway, keep your heads down, drink plenty of water, and I will definitely play again soon. Take care. Bye bye.